sometimes you'll get some really good shit in there, which is why sometimes you'll get a batch of ground meat that's great, and sometimes you'll get a batch of ground meat that tastes
Fishy?
less. Well, I mean, it's okay, but it's not great. You get what I'm saying?
Ah.
Yeah. Anyway, we're live with another episode of BS Busters. Thank you for joining us. Um, the usual suspects are here. I think this will be the last cast of the year because I don't think I'm going to do anything New Year's. So this is our end of year cast for the BS Busters. We won't have a next one till next year in 2022. But before we go any further, let's have everyone introduce themselves. Starting with the lady first, and the gentleman, and then I'll introduce myself, and then we'll dive right into it. Let's go.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, all ages, to the BS Busters Midweek Podcast for the final time of 2021. I'm Joy Eli Moonstar, and what a year it has been.
And this is Kanoshi Abominito here to say don't have too much fun this weekend unless you got money for bail.
Did somebody get arrested near you?
No.
Did someone do something that they should have been arrested by and they got away with it?
Probably. I saw cops on my way from on my way back from work Christmas. I saw cops pull somebody over. It's like, oh, I guess somebody decided to start their drinking festivities early.
And plus, it's the end of the month, and the cops have to make their quota
Yep,
because
yeah.
they don't actually all these counties and states and cities, they don't actually tax the wealthy so that they can afford things. Instead, they make their revenue with citations and tickets. Because we can't have a millionaire or billionaire who lives who has their business in our county actually pay taxes. That's ridiculous. If you can't tell, I'm being facetious. But with that being said, this is Mr. Red Fox, owner proprietor of BS Busters. We have a lighter cast because it's the end of the year. I want to keep it more or less on the up and up. So with that being said, we're not going to do a hole of the year. We'll save that for our first cast of January 2022, where we'll talk about who was the a-hole of 2021. But with all that being said, we have some good topics coming up tonight. We're going to talk about our end of the year thoughts regarding gaming, both good and bad this year, trends we want to see end this year or start next year. So these could be good trends, bad trends, trends that they were good when they started, but you're just getting tired of it, so you want it to end in 2021. The topic after that will be what is the best movie of the year you've seen and why. What games are you looking forward to? What game or games are you looking forward to next year? And your unpopular opinion of the year and free topic. So let's get started with what are our end of the year thoughts about gaming?
It's been a mixed bag, and yet we, while we've gotten some rubbish games, I say that we did get a 50-50.
Yeah, I agree. Kenoshi?
Well, I mean, you had Nintendo screwing up with their online again. You had a bunch of broken games come out. Right around Christmas, right around the end of the year. You had some decent games come out, like Psychonauts 2, and the game I haven't played but looks interesting. It Takes Two. Let's see what else happened. Uh, that was pretty good. Um, I'm not. Oh yeah, and of course, Guardians of the Galaxy was a decent surprise. Like, how often is it that you get a licensed game that's well made and people and they're given time to iron out the source material. actually create something that's worth playing.
Rarely. I mean, you
Yeah,
rarely get
no.
a good licensed game. It's not even Marvel, just in general, a good licensed game. I would say the
Yeah,
king
period.
of licensed games over the last 2 or 3 console gens are the DC games, because Batman, Arkham Asylum, and the Lego DC games, like even the bad ones, are still pretty good.
Yeah.
But that's a rarity.
I think
That's
it was a,
that's the exception to the rule.
yeah. So I think it was. I don't think it was a terrible year for gaming, but I don't think it was particularly like a great year with a lot of stuff getting delayed, or a lot of stuff getting pushed, at the end of the year, like Halo Infinite.
Yeah.
Reason why I said that I feel like this is a 50-50.
Just a lot of stuff getting delayed.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess. For me, the thing that... Oh, no, sorry to cut you off, Kenosha. Continue.
I don't know. I would say it's like a 25-75.
Okay.
For me.
All right. For me, this year was a 50-50. And I don't mean that in numerical. I mean like it was an upside-downside thing. The upside is that a lot of... This year, like for me, just for me personally, a lot of my favorite games that came out this year were indie games. Even Psychonauts 2, most of the development on that game took place when Double Fine was still an indie studio. Microsoft buying them basically gave them the capital to really finish that game and add all the stuff they wanted to. But the idea, the conception, all that stuff, that happened when they were indie studio. And that game still in a lot of ways feels like an indie game. And I like that. The Ascent came out this year, and that's like one of my favorite. The Ascent was like one of my favorite games of the year, and that came out in the middle of this year. Well, early, like towards the end of the beginning of the year, in like March or April. So I mean, like, there's some good games that have come out this year. Some really good games that have come out this year, but most of them weren't AAA blockbusters, to me. Most of the games I really looked forward to that really wowed me or made me enjoy gaming were not AAA huge budget games. They were like, oh, this is pretty good, like Cruisin' Blast. That game really, like, that game's not a AAA game. I enjoy it, but it's not a AAA game. So this year, like 2021 should be, in my mind, is the year of, well, you don't need to spend a whole bunch of money on a game in order for it to be good. On certain games. But then there's the downside, where there's a lot of games that people should have spent more money on and didn't, and it came out terrible. Like, the definitive edition of the GTA trilogy. Rockstar and Take-Two should be ashamed of it, should be embarrassed by, cheaping out on basically on their marquee titles. That'd be like Nintendo releasing a Mario 3D trilogy and then like basically like messing up the ports of all 3 games. Now, they did release a 3D trilogy, and the games they're just straight up ports of those old games. But they aren't running poorly. They're basic, but they aren't running poorly. Like, literally, like, the definitive edition is missing shit that was in the base games. And I know the excuse that people are going to make. Well, it's expensive to license music. It's expensive. It would have been expensive for them to relicense that music. Fair. You know what?
The problem is Rockstar has money for days.
With
all the money they've made selling their shark cards,
okay,
they should be able to afford the license.
Yeah, fair enough. They can't. Okay, fair enough. It would be hard for them to relicense Michael Jackson's music. Fair enough. But there were other musicians that were around during those time periods that you could have gone to who would have licensed their music for cheaper than Michael Jackson. So than the Jackson estate. So believe it or not, you still could have had a full soundtrack in those games. What they did is that they went to the porting studio who's been porting these games for over a decade, who said we can do it for cheap, and they said okay, do it for cheap. And that, like, you don't cheap out on your legacy titles. You don't cheap out on your legacy titles. Um, we've seen this year, like we saw Nintendo kind of cheap out on their 3D All Stars, but like they cheaped out on their games, but like they didn't fuck up the core aspect of those games. And Rockstar cheaped out on their games, and not only did they cheap out, they fucked up on the core aspect of those games. It's like, why would you cheap out on your core games? I don't get that. But it is what it is. We saw the mask be pulled off of Activision Blizzard and Ubisoft this year, where we saw basically how foul these companies are. People used to say EA is evil. Shit. EA wishes it could be as evil as Activision Blizzard and Ubisoft. Like, EA will just work your ass to death and have you have burnout. Activision Blizzard, you're gonna get fucked over. You're not gonna be paid for it. If you're a nursing mother and you go to the nursing mother room to
lose your milk.
Yeah, they're gonna steal the food from your baby's mouth, literally. I mean, like, Activision Blizzard. I mean, if there ever was a company that really needs to get burned down, it's Activision Blizzard.
Side note, and this is something that's kind of related to them because Riot, the people that are looking into Activision Blizzard are looking at what happened with Riot in order to try to figure out how to deal with those guys.
Well, Riot got sued for workplace discrimination and gender discrimination, and in the workplace, and they initially wanted to do like a $10 million settlement, and the Department for Equal Employment basically said, like, hell, you're gonna do 10 million, and they said it should be 400 million, and Riot pled it down to 100 million. So I mean, that's better than I mean, I don't know why these companies can't treat their employees better. Because here's the thing: if you don't have people making this shit, you don't have a product to sell.
Nope.
Why can't you pay your employees a fair? Because here's the thing: the more you pay someone, the more shit they can put up with. If you paid these people a decent wage, and it was a high profile environment where it was a high pressure environment. If you paid these people enough, they could put up with more shit. But if you're gonna pay people trash, and then on top of that,
have all that garbage roll into them.
Yeah, I mean, it's just people are like, yeah, I gotta sue you. I don't get it, but I try to treat my employees fairly. I've always tried to treat people in employment situations fairly, because you never know when that shoe's going to be on the other foot. And sometimes it's not even about money; it's about respect. People just want to be respected, even if someone is the busboy, even if someone just empties the trash cans in your business. You could at least smile and say hello, good night, thank you.
Have some manners.
Don't be a dick. I know that's a difficult concept for some people to understand, but
I was saying have some manners, but then again, look at what we're dealing with right now in this world.
Yeah. I reiterate, don't be a dick. But yeah. So I'm glad that we're finally seeing these companies for what they are. That greed, unmitigated greed with no consequences, leads to, people doing whatever the hell they want, because as long as they produce money,
Yeah,
Problem
it's
with
pretty.
capitalism.
That's the reason I never really got. I never got as emotional about it because I saw there's a free YouTube video. Uh, saw it a few years ago. I think it was like almost 5, 6 years ago. It's called An Open Secret. It's about Hollywood and about all the depravity that goes on in Hollywood. What they do to
You mean the
what they
documentary about the
do.
young boys where they had like the
Yeah,
little club? Yeah, yeah. I remember watching that documentary. It was, it's disgusting.
yeah, especially at the end where the guy. I don't. I'm bad at remembering names, but the guy was abused so bad that he almost drank himself to death to the point where he ended up having a disability where he had to use one of those talking machines.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I was like, yeah, yeah. So I guess because you know this stuff is prolific throughout the entertainment industry, and what it shows, what was revealed to me about all of this was that video games, it's no different than any other sector of entertainment. I mean, you had what R. Kelly get arrested for doing stuff, and
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
happens
Well,
in the music industry, the movie industry,
I mean, when people
and
have
also the gaming industry.
when people have no accountability and they think that and they can get away with anything because people don't hold them accountable, you know, because like R. Kelly, you know, as a to wit to your example, R. Kelly had like R. Kelly was a busy man. Okay, he was not procuring women and grooming them alone. He had a system in place with people around him supporting that system. Okay, it's like anyone who owns a successful business and they say I did this by myself. Like hell you did. There were people around you helping make that successful. Any endeavor, there are people around you helping make it successful.
I was going to make the
That's
joke that I'd like to thank all these people that I stepped on in order to get to where I am today.
I mean, it's
and
not
then
even
like
that. It's just you know the fiction that people would have you believe is that I made this business by myself. I came up with this idea by myself. At some point, like some things are too complicated for someone who have done it by themselves. Like R. Kelly grooming girls, picking up women, like how he was doing it, how he was getting like one man can't do that alone. He had people around him helping him get women. You know what I mean? And they knew what he was doing, and they kept their
yeah,
mouths shut because they were on the
and,
payroll.
and they're not. I don't think they're rotting in prison right now, are they?
Oh, they're going after them. They're going after
Oh,
them
okay.
too, which they should. They should. They
And
should.
the thing is, every once in a while they'll pick out a fall guy. You know, they'll like Harvey Weinstein, because there are people helping him get women,
Oh yeah.
and then Ghislaine Maxwell, who just got convicted earlier tonight. You know, it's just like there are other people involved in that whole
Oh yeah.
Jerry.
And they're going after
Uh,
them too.
so
They're. I mean,
yeah,
look. Here's what I'll say about 2021. People are tired of people doing messed up stuff and them getting away with it. Now, if only let's bring it back to gaming. If only gamers would stop supporting these bad companies, because ultimately,
it's
what
like
lets them get away with this is that they make money. If they start losing money, things will change.
Yeah, though I have to admit that I have to wonder when that train's gonna stop. When that train's gonna stop, because that's probably the first thing that I hope will start happening in 2022. That
Well, Activision Blizzard already lost 50% of its stock value, and it has not made it back. It's holding steady. So basically, Bobby Kotick lost them like $2.5 billion, half of the stock value.
I was about to say, I thought it was 51% of the stock value.
Well, 50, 51. I mean, like if your stock, if the total amount of your stock on the market is worth like 4.5 billion and you lose half of that, As a CEO, you need to go. Just on GP. Yeah, you need. And here's the thing. This isn't something that he had no control over. This is some shit that he had been heavily involved with for the last 40 years.
He had at least 10 years.
No, 40 years. Because he's been in charge of Activision since 1991.
I was saying 10 years because there was at least a chance to do it when things change, when you add in a new company.
No. No. This is the company culture. If someone has basically built a company up for 30 years, that is the company culture. And it's going to stay that way until the people at the top are gone.
Yeah, in that case, it makes me wonder who the heck Bobby put money in their pockets in order to keep from getting fired.
The shareholders, because that's his job as CEO. Like, your job as CEO of a company is to make sure that the
CEOs have probably seen what happened to their stocks.
Yeah, but as a CEO, your only job as CEO of a company is to make sure that the company stays productive, so that the products that it makes produce revenue in excess of outgoing flow of income, so that the company can produce enough money to give dividends to the shareholders. That's your only job. Everything they do is hinged on that thing. Now, I know I say that capitalism is messed up and it needs to go, but there are some good CEOs. Look at the guy who's in charge of Costco, right? Like, his income per year is like $4 million. Now, he gets a lot of bonuses with stocks, but like, he's not making so much more money than the other people that it's like, embarrassing. But Bobby Kotick, this is a man who, like I said, has built this company to be a little fiefdom where the people at the top fuck over everyone else below them. And he's given himself bonuses year after year after year, every year for the last 10, 15 years, while knowing that this shit's going on.
It's crazy. So, what was it, last year or the year before, they let go of a bunch of people, and
they had record profits. Yeah, he gave himself a $185 million bonus after firing, on top of knowing all this shit. And he's been giving himself bonuses for years now, $1 million bonuses, like in the double and triple digits. And yet people want to tell me, I'm sorry. It's a good thing that this has been shown, because people know. Now, for those of you people who are like, I'm going to play Call of Duty with my friends, I'm going to say it because it needs to be said. Fuck you. You're part of the problem, because you're giving money to this piece of shit and his company. Okay? I'm going to play WoW. You're part of the problem, because you're giving money to this fucking piece of shit company. You're part of the problem. Now, look, what's more important? You playing Call of Duty with your friends? Are you playing WoW with your clan mates? Or, some poor woman going to the nursing mother room and some fuckers at the workplace stealing the breast milk out of the fridge in the nursing mother room? I'm sorry, just for me, I could give a fuck less about Call of Duty or WoW if that means I'm enabling people to steal food from nursing babies. I'm sorry. I can't, playing with my clan mates in WoW doesn't trump a baby getting fed. Okay.
I was gonna say, EA wish they could be like Activision Blizzard.
Yeah, remember when EA was the evilest company ever, and we were like, man, fuck EA. Shit.
EA won 2 golden turds.
EA is practically humanity of the year compared to Activision and Ubisoft.
Yeah.
Makes me wish that we could take those 2 trophies and
switch them around.
Yeah.
I mean, but anyway, yeah. So I'm glad that the rag has been taken off the bush and people see these companies for what they are. But now it's not enough. Knowledge leads to action. Are people going to stop playing WoW? Are people going to stop playing Call of Duty? If you stop playing WoW and Call of Duty and all their other games, just don't play them. Or if you do buy them used, or when they're heavily discounted, so they're losing money. That's the only way.
Well, a number of people left WoW and went to Final Fantasy 14. That's why their servers crashed a lot. Some
Actually,
people had
that's the
trouble
point that,
getting in the
that
queue.
Final Fantasy 14 is not accepting customers.
Yeah, they had because the servers were falling apart.
Yeah, because that rapid influx of people going, they needed a new MMO home to go to.
So, if anything, you gotta say this: when a company has so much success that they have to stop selling, that is a sign that your competition has finally kicked you in the balls.
Well, let's see how long it stays, because gamers have short memories and they're like crack addicts. They have to get their fix. But yeah, I mean, are people going to buy the new Diablo? I mean, I didn't. I'm like, you know what? Fuck Activision Blizzard. Activision Blizzard hasn't made a game I wanted to play in a long time.
If this turns out to be as bad, if this mistake turns out as bad as Artifact, I'll be having a great laugh.
Yeah, well, Artifact was from Valve, and I mean, I've never heard of Valve doing this fucked up shit going on at Activision Blizzard.
I mean that Artifact was such a flop that lost mostly everybody they had.
That's true, and they were like, "Fuck it." But I mean, products live or die. But this isn't about the products. Some of the products Activision makes are of decent quality. The problem is the management of the company is fucking terrible. But anyway, let's move on. So anything else anyone wants to say about good and bad this year before we move on to the next topic?
Nope, I'm good.
All right. Next topic: trends we want to see stop this year or start next year.
I made a comment about it a little bit earlier, but I was hoping that we see companies that do carp like what those two did, get what they deserve.
Fair. Kanoshi?
Stop making shitty and lazy ports of games. God dang.
Yeah, I get it. I'm with you there. Especially ports of games that, like, if the old version of your game runs better than the new version, don't release it.
Yeah.
Just put it back in the oven and work on it some more. But as for me, the thing I want to see in this year, since you guys took the really juicy ones, I'm tired of seeing VR. I wish it would go away.
Yeah, the term the metaverse has been the most obnoxious, the most obnoxious thing ever.
No, I'm just tired of VR. Like they'll make a game and you'll like be on Steam or something. It's like, yeah, this game looks like it's gonna be interesting, and then you look now, oh, it's VR. It's like, fuck, why?
Yeah.
I think a GIF would satisfy this line, like the let's see, I know it. It's the scouts going into the fridge, rubbing his hands, thinking that something good's in there, and then seeing what's inside, and then leaves like oh no way. That's what I feel like with VR. At least with games that soon tell you it's VR.
Well, I mean,
VR.
My issue with VR is that most of the games that are in VR don't need to be in VR. Like they aren't like unless you're gonna build a game from the ground up to be in virtual reality, don't put it in virtual reality. Because most of the games that are in VR, they're just first person games that are in VR. They're not really doing anything interesting or, you know, noteworthy with virtual reality. And that is boring. Um,
I was gonna say the only thing that so far has made VR even lookable in a sense is sadly something that I feel like is overrated.
what
Half-Life
Half-Life
Alyx.
Alex? Yeah, but do you think it's overrated because you've played it and you thought it was overrated, or do you think it's overrated just because you think people praise it, overpraise it?
I feel it's overpraised.
Well,
I
I can
don't
tell you
know.
right now.
Go ahead.
I can tell you right now, as someone who played it, it's worth it's worth the praise because they actually, from the ground up, built that game to be in VR. It wasn't just let's just make a first person game and throw it in VR.
And this is on top of remembering that this is another joke that somebody can't count to 3.
Well, I would agree with you, except the cool thing about Half-Life Alex is that in the last act of the game, it switches viewpoints from Alex to uh, Gordon Freeman. So, you get to play as Dr. Gordon Freeman, the Half-Life guy.
And I can hear the joke that Half-Life 3 confirmed. I'm sorry.
I
That
mean,
was probably a bad joke.
it does kind of scratch that itch for people who like Half-Life. I mean, me, like, I was never one of those people, like, I love Half-Life. I think it's the best thing ever. Like, for me, Half-Life was always like, this is a fun game, but I wouldn't go out of my way for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, they're making too much money on Steam right now to really care about making a third Half-Life game or even a third Portal game.
I mean, I get it, but now, like, that's the thing. That's the time to make another. Because here's the thing: if they make another game and they say, "Hey, it's a Steam exclusive for 2 years," that's gonna put even more people on Steam.
Yeah, I mean, or because they have the HTC Vive. They said like, yeah, Half-Life 3 is coming exclusively to the HTC Vive. And if they're the ones building it,
Yeah,
they're
but
gonna keep.
people aren't gonna go out of their way for the Vive because not everyone wants VR. But if they say it's Steam exclusive, like, hey, you want to play Half-Life 3? Steam exclusive for like 3 years. Same thing with Portal 3. Hey, you want to play Portal 3? Steam exclusive. You want to play Left 4 Dead 3? Steam exclusive.
Plus that headset is has a bunch of wires and stuff coming out of it. So I mean,
Yeah.
it's so cumbersome.
Yeah, but it is like one of the more premium
Headsets, yeah.
it's one of the more premium headsets. Like here's the thing. I don't like VR, but if I was going to use VR, I would use the Vive versus
Other headsets.
the versus what the PS4 does and the
Yeah.
PS5, like Sony's shitty headset that feels cheap and half-assed, like they just threw some
Yeah.
shit together, cause they did, because they did just throw some shit together.
Mind you, the headset was $400 when it came out, and that was the cheapest headset
Yeah,
of all of them, which is
and the only way you can even use it is you have to use it in conjunction with all those shitty fucking peripherals that Sony has. And it's just like they just threw some, like, literally the PlayStation VR feels like they had some parts sitting in a warehouse that they couldn't sell during the 7th and 8th gen, where the 7th gen especially, they struck out against the Wii, and they were like, with the PS Move, and they're like, shit, we got to sell this shit. Okay, I know, we'll back engineer it to go with this shitty VR helmet, and, and we'll sell these dumbasses for $500. $500 to $600, and they'll buy this shit because they want the VR. I'm like,
that sounds like the iToy that screwed up when it tried to come out.
it is kind of like that. Well, I mean, the thing about virtual reality, much like so many technologies, it's like VR or a 3D TV. If you really want to have, or a home theater, right? If you want to have a home theater, like a quality home theater, you're going to have to spend money to get a quality home theater. You're going to have to spend money to get quality VR. And most people don't have the money for that.
Most people will pay for a decent one, but it will bite your pocket really hard if you want some high quality stuff like stereo audio.
The home theater? Yeah. Because, I mean, even if you go with mid-range,
experience.
Even if you go mid-range with a home theater, it's not going to be like a home theater experience. It's just going to be a really nice it's going to be a really nice den in your basement or whatever the fuck you see, your man cave, whatever. A decent home theater, like a quality home theater, be prepared to spend between $20,000 to $30,000 to have it put in. And if you can't afford that, then don't even, just be happy having a nice man cave. Just, if you can, look, listen, I learned this a long time ago. If you can't afford to eat at the restaurant, go someplace else. Don't even take your ass in there embarrassing yourself coming across cheap. Well, how much does this cost? Well, can I get something cheaper? It's like, look, man, take your cheap ass on out of here and go someplace else because you can't afford to eat here.
Go to McDonald's or something.
If you're trying to go that cheap, go to Ollie's for that kind of cheap.
Okay, I'll give you an example. Okay, for Christmas Eve dinner, I went out with my mom and my girlfriend, and we ate at Founding Farmers, which is it's a locally owned restaurant that's owned by a group of independent farmers. They literally take their product and bring it to the restaurant. So that's how they keep their overhead low. And it was like $45 per person to eat there, plus tax, so it's like $50 per person. And it was a Christmas buffet. And it was nice. Okay? And we were talking with our waitress, and she said, my father owned a restaurant, so I'm used to providing great service. And she was like, when you go into the city, you expect to have like high quality service. And this lady was on top of her game. She was Johnny on the spot. Like, she saw your water was halfway full. Boom. She saw your plates were there, picked them up. Like, you didn't have to ask her anything, extra napkins. I mean, she was Johnny on the spot. And she was telling us how, like, one day someone came in there and they gave her a 78-cent tip.
Damn.
And I'm like, look, if your ass can't afford to eat here, don't bring your ass here. Go someplace else.
That's highly disrespectful.
Okay? If you can't fucking afford to pay people, to give people a decent tip for excellent service, don't fucking go out to eat. Stay your ass home or go someplace where the quality of the service and the food is cheaper.
Yeah, in a lot of places, servers get paid dick hourly.
Yeah, they do.
Survive on tips.
Because they do that bullshit where they're like, oh, well, actually, it's half because it's going to be made up with tips. And I'm like, I mean, that's one of the things I really do admire in other countries. They don't have tipping. Everything's included with the bill. And yes, it means that your meal is going to be more expensive, but you don't have to sit there and worry about, is my waiter or waitress or server going to get are they being paid fairly? But yeah, I'm like, look, I mean, I know that sounds really bougie of me, but look, if your broke ass can't afford to eat someplace, you don't need to be there. I'm sorry.
You don't need to be going out. Yeah, you don't need to be going out to eat.
It's like, if you can't afford it, like, owning a car is more than just having a car and putting gas in it and driving it around. Like, there's insurance and maintenance. And if you can't afford insurance and maintenance, you don't need to have that type of car.
Yeah.
Okay?
Mhm.
Like go get yourself something else. you know. Um but yeah, so yeah, but as I was saying, I don't know how we got off on that tangent. But yeah, I want to see this year. I want to see VR go away. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of good games being locked behind you having to own a peripheral.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like that. And I know what the counter argument, some people might say, well, it's just like you owning, certain IPs being locked behind Nintendo. No, it isn't,
Oh
because
no.
those games are first party or second party exclusives, which means Nintendo paid for those games to get made for their console. It's content for their console. That's a completely different animal than games going out of their way to you have to own a peripheral in order to even play the fucking games. That's ridiculous. And Facebook trying so hard to make Oculus a thing. It's kind of funny, really. It's like, for real, we're gonna make it into a thing. It's like when someone tries to make a new catchphrase and they're trying really hard to make it into something, and it's like, it's just not happening. But they keep on trying.
They keep on reaching.
It's like, dude, it's not gonna be a thing. Come on, man. It's not happening.
As I said, some people are just reaching like they're Stretch Armstrong, and I don't know how good Stretch Armstrong's arms are this time of year.
It depends. If you're talking like the old Stretch Armstrong, the old Stretch Armstrong actually was pretty darn stretchy. The re-release they did was kind of trash. The re-release was kind of shit, but the original was actually pretty good. Ironically.
I fully agree with you.
Yeah. One of those things. The original was great. The re-release was kind of shit. What do you know? Anyway, let's keep it moving to the next part of that topic. So, what do you want to see start next year? Trends, I mean.
To be honest with you, I'm actually curious of seeing more what was it? Oh yeah, more sprite based. I'm hoping to see more sprite based games, but then again, this is probably the geek in me talking right there.
No, I agree.
Yeah, a lot of the sprite-based games that have come out in the last few years have looked pretty good.
Yep, starting with Shovel Knight, and it seems like every year there's like one really good sprite-based game, or even two. Because this year I think we got Cyber Shadow and that Contra knockoff. That's like looks great. It looks like the best Sega Genesis game never released for the Sega Genesis. And the year before that was The Messenger.
No. And Hunt Down. I recently started. I went back to that a few days ago. That's a pretty good game.
Oh yeah, and it has a really good difficulty curve.
Yeah.
So many games difficulty curve is like, hey, let me kick you in the nuts. But
Yeah.
The Messenger's like, okay, we're gonna start it off kind of easy, and then as the game starts to open up, it's like, okay, as new abilities are doled out, it gets harder.
Yeah. Yeah, Messenger's pretty good too.
Plus, the music is really good.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Actually, all of the 8-bit, all of the sprite-based graphic games, the music has been really good.
Yeah.
It's like, damn, this music is much better than it has any business being. But that's my own personal opinion. But you guys have any other trends you're like, man, this really they need to change this. I hope it comes in next week. I mean, next week, next year.
That
Um,
that's a little hard to say because we kind of went over a few of our things. But if I had to
release
pick
your.
one more, I want to actually see probably the return of the double A or single A title games.
I agree with you, but the problem is that double A games are it's like movies where the only movies that really make it are these huge expensive movies. Nothing that's like no mid
AAA,
tier or small tier.
the AAA Titans, right?
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I tell you what I would like to see, and I know this probably isn't going to happen, but I would still like to see it. I would like to see a return of the smaller I wish I would see like to see return of the smaller tier um of the smaller tier games that have kind of IPs that have kind of gone away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I would like to see Square Enix re-release or at least do something with um final of with Lufia. I would like to see, I would like to see someone do something with um I would like to see them do something with what's it called? I would like to see I just want to see these old IPs that no one's been doing shit with, something done with them. Do something. Don't just be just sitting there just having the shit just languishing away, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I would like to see companies release their
Backlog catalogs.
just release their big games throughout the year rather than doing it all in uh November and December.
I agree. Like there's 12 months of the year. You don't have to release all your games in September, October, and November and December.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to put everything off in the holiday season.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
come on. If anything, summer is a perfect year to release some games.
You would think because I mean in America, a lot of kids are on summer vacation. Their parents have to work. They're at home. Their parents buy them a new game at the beginning of summer. They sit in the house and play their games and shut the fuck up. I mean, that's the perfect time to have some games to play in summer. Nah, we got to put it out all out at Christmas.
Yeah.
Actually, this is the thing I say that, they don't release games at this time of year. They do announcements at this time of year.
Yeah.
At the Electronics Entertainment. So,
Be kind of nice if they had those announcements and then release the games right after the announcements.
That'd be cool, but that takes effort and planning and you're
say-
going to be like Square Enix where they have an announcement to announce that they're delaying the announcement.
Yeah, that was retarded.
That
That
is
was terrible.
that's like
That's terrible.
that's like someone coming out during an assembly, coming to the mic, tapping it. Hello, I have an announcement. The announcement is I farted. And then they just walk away. It's like, man, why the fuck would you tell us that? You could have just not said shit and people would have been okay with it.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, it was pretty silly of them to be like, well, we're delaying our announcement until like March or April. It's like, maybe you were better off not saying anything.
It's like, excuse me, hello. I have an announcement. What's the announcement? Our announcement is we're delaying the announcement. That's all. It's like Man, why the fuck you even tell me that?
And then make the joke that, could you at least tell us what announcement was delayed?
Shit, I could have.
And they probably would at least make some noise, or at least have people guessing.
Shit, you didn't have to tell me anything. Not that I care, because, I mean, come on, man. Final Fantasy hasn't been good since 12.
At the best, or at the worst, depending on how you look at it.
Well, I think 12 had a lot of good ideas. I think the core gameplay was okay, was fine. I think the problem with 12 is the initial release was like there's all of these concepts in 12 that you don't even know about unless you read an FAQ or have the walkthrough or the game or the deep dive gamer's guide. And I don't think like there's basic game like quality of life gameplay issues. Like you can't respec a character after you've spec them a certain way. Cause different characters like Bosch is actually like a really good melee character. And I forgot the guy's name. The guy whose twin brother turned out to be a villain in the opening in the game turns out to be a really good magic user. And it's like they don't tell you this shit. They basically just throw you. They don't tell you shit about any of this. The summons are fucking useless in the game. They do negligible amounts of damage.
I was gonna say I thought the summons were basically just auto attack buttons.
No, they're supposed to be like okay. The way summons are supposed to work in Final Fantasy 12 is like you power them up and then you use them to do massive amounts of damage. The problem is that like the summons when you fight them do lots of damage to you. When you use them in combat, they're fucking useless. They do negligible amounts of damage. Like it's a decent amount of damage, but compared to what they were doing to you, compared to what they do to enemies, it's a joke. And that's kind of the problem with Final Fantasy 12. Now, if you get Final Fantasy 12, you should get like the international or like the remastered version. You can get it on Steam. That version has all the shit that should have been in the base game. But it's like a lot of Final Fantasy games are like that though these days. It's like the original release is kind of like, and then like. I guess they don't do alpha and beta tests internally. I guess. I don't know.
If that's true, then I could imagine how much worse the number 13 came out.
I mean, when I say alpha and beta tests, I mean like I don't mean for bugs. I mean like in terms of playability for people who aren't really because like okay, if you're the developer and you put something a certain way because it made sense to the way you were developing the game, you're not going to see that as a bug or a problem with the design. But to people who weren't there making it, they're going to be like, hey, this is kind of like, I mean, you've had this in other Final Fantasies. Like Final Fantasy 2 has a magic spell called Ultima, which is supposed to, in theory, Ultima in Final Fantasy 2 is supposed to be a magic spell that takes the damage it does from you mastering other forms of magic. So if you master all the spells in black magic, all the spells in white magic, all the spells in red magic, Ultima is supposed to be insanely powerful. But because of a bug, it's fundamentally useless. So it does absolutely nothing. And Hironobu Sakaguchi told the programmer to fix that shit, and they didn't. So, which is why if you play Final Fantasy 2 now, even the re-releases, you have to basically get a fan-made patch that fixes Ultima.
Wow.
The ultimate spell.
Yeah.
How much? Oh god, boo.
That's gaming. That's gaming for you. That's how gaming is these days. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Like I said, I want to see old IPs getting revived next year, and I want to see them revived properly. Like if they're gonna do another Lufia game, I want it to be a turn-based RPG where you go into dungeons and like you move, the enemy moves, and it's like because the thing that made Lufia so unique, especially Lufia 2, was that like on the surface it's like, oh, this is a standard RPG. I'm just turn-based combat, fighting enemies, all that shit. But then you go into dungeons and it turns into like a combination of Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, where you're solving puzzles, you're pushing blocks, you're hitting switches. I'm like, oh, you're solving mysteries. I'm like, oh, this is great. And they fucked it up with that Lufia 2 remake they made for the 3DS that was just a standard action game. It sucked. But enough about that. What is the best movie of the year you've seen?
Huh. Considering my tastes, I usually go with animations, so my choices are kind of limited. But I'd say my picks would be Ron's Gone Wrong, and if I got it right, oh yeah, Sing 2.
Really? Yeah, I heard Sing 2 was pretty good.
Those are the ones that entertained me a good bunch when I saw them in movie theaters.
Yeah, I heard Sing. I heard it was pretty good.
Yeah, it is. So it's kind of over the top too.
I heard there's a scene in that film where the gangster threatens Jackie Moon, and he runs and hides in this suitcase, and he has this look on his face like he shit himself hiding in that suitcase. I'm like, God damn, that's funny.
Oh, you'll have your laughs.
Yeah. Kenoshi?
I didn't go to the movie theaters at all this year, so I don't have one.
Okay. My film of the year is a tough one because I saw like 2 films this year, but in the movie theater, I didn't go to a lot of movie theaters for films this year. But there were 2 films that stuck out this year. Godzilla vs. Kong.
Yeah, that was good. That one came out this year, didn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, I saw that one. That was like the only movie I saw. That one was pretty good.
Yeah, Godzilla vs. Kong was pretty good. And I know what some people are going to say. What about Spider-Man? What about Spider-Man No Way Home? I like Spider-Man No Way Home, but Spider-Man No Way Home, like, there's too much other shit going on with Spider-Man No Way Home that I have to kind of like explain away, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, it's the best. What? Go ahead, Joel.
I was saying it's kind of tricky to explain, like you're explaining what happened at earlier time in the movie, and then having to talk over what's going on at the movie theater right now.
No, I mean, it's not okay. Let me put it this way: as a Spider-Man fan, because Spider-Man's one of my favorite Marvel superheroes, like comic book characters. It's a great, like, I enjoy the film. One of my best films of the year. The problem is, as if I take a step back and shield my bias, which is hard for a lot of people to do, but looking at it from just as a film, there's a lot of problems with it.
I was gonna say, as a film of its own, I'd say you are totally right on that.
It doesn't, it doesn't follow its own logic.
I was gonna say, as part of the movie sequence, it kind of softens up. But
Yeah,
that's the problem I have with Endgame.
well, I mean,
Like
Endgame had like 2 Deus Ex Machina hand of God moments where it's like, oh, isn't that a surprise? But you kind of let it go because you're like, okay, like they're trying to tie this up so I can, I can kind of let that slide. But no, in order for No Way Home to work, there's so many Deus Ex Machina, isn't that a coincidence moments where I'm like, you're breaking your own rules.
Yeah.
I mean, but that's as a critique. That is as someone who, critiques films and looks at the structure and, how this stuff. As a Spider-Man fan, as a comic book movie fan, it's one of the best comic book films I've seen. People are like, man, I'm tired of comic book films. Shit, go watch Spider-Man No Way Home. You will have a grin on your face watching it. However, it's not perfect. I would say my two best films of the year are, like I said, King Kong, Godzilla vs. King Kong, and Pig, starring Nicolas Cage. Those two films are great. I thought they were very well made.
Nicolas Cage
Yeah.
starring a movie that wasn't bad.
Here's the thing. Nicolas Cage, like today people treat Nicolas Cage like a joke, but people forget he's an Oscar award-winning actor, and he's actually a legitimately good actor. Like Nicolas Cage is a legitimately good actor, and this film shows that, you know, you were sleeping on old Uncle Nick. Uncle Nick still got it. Nick,
What's this movie called?
it's called Pig. It's called
Pig?
Pig. Yeah, it's called Pig.
Oh, okay. What's that about?
It's about Nicolas Cage plays this guy who used to be like this high level chef who his wife was dying of cancer, and he couldn't even be with her because he was busy being an award-winning chef. But when his wife dies, like his world crumbles around him, and he says, "Fuck it, I'm leaving the high-rise life of being this award-winning chef." So he basically goes. He now is a hermit out in these woods with this pig that helps him hunt truffles. Ostensibly, but what happens is that his pig gets kidnapped, and he goes on a journey to find the pig, like Odysseus's Odyssey. And he winds up basically really the premise of the film isn't as much as important as Nick Cage's acting, which he shows why he's such a damn good actor in this film. Like, it's like, god damn. Like, he is really, like, you're like, you know, it's like people forget this motherfucker won an Oscar. You know? But I didn't forget because I am a cinema freak, a movie freak, and so I watched it and I'm like, this is a damn good movie. It's really fucking good. And Nicolas Cage is acting his fucking ass off like he's trying to get another Oscar, and I hope he gets it. So, yeah. Those are two damn good films. So those are my two best films of the year. And no, the Snyder cut of Justice League.
That was prime trash right there.
What that was 4 hours of watching Zack Snyder, proverbially speaking, jack off in slow motion. That's what that was.
I thought it was him dancing and jacking off.
And the ending of it was the money shot.
No, it was the prime rib of trash.
No, because prime rib is delicious. This was, you know what this was? This was when you go to a shitty diner that sells some dish that, like, if you eat it in under like 15 minutes, your meal is free. But it's something that's so unhealthy that even looking at it makes you want to puke. That's what Zack Snyder's Justice League was. Like, it was like you fucking Zack Snyder fanboys who keep on trying to make... Look, I'm gonna break it down for you. Zack Snyder, he's a shitty director, okay? The only thing he's good at is making action. That's it.
I was saying the only thing he's got is making fireworks. No,
I will admit the action scenes that he directs are fairly well directed. The problem, like Zack Snyder is ironically, he is a more competent, he is a less racist version of Michael Bay. Because you know how Michael Bay, like a less bad joke, because Michael Bay will put shit in his movies that he thinks is funny, but in hindsight, it's like, that's not funny at all. Like, remember Transformers 2 where they had the two Negro bots that spoke in black urban slang and couldn't read and had gold teeth and chains around their neck? Michael Bay thought that shit was hilarious. And I'm like, this shit's not funny.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I think my brain errored when you said that.
Well, if you watch Transformers 2, it was in there. It's like the problem with Michael Bay is that he puts shit in his movies that he thinks is hilarious, and there's no one around him saying that shit is stupid. Get rid of it. The same thing with Zack Snyder. Zack Snyder's very self-indulgent with his films, and I don't know why they keep on giving this fucker money.
Okay, thank you for letting me know because now my brain just.
What, you didn't watch Transformers 2?
I was hoping that it would. I was hoping Transformers 2 was not that bad.
It was worse than the first one. Because the first one didn't have the fucking Negro bots in it.
Yeah, I always know to beware of certain movies because of who made them, but I was hoping that at least the second one tried to clean something up.
No. The first one was bad because the Transformers didn't look like the Transformers. They were fucking murdering the shit out of each other. Instead, in the comics, like Optimus Prime's kind of a bitch because he doesn't want to kill any other sentients, humans or robots. Not this Optimus Prime. He fucking murders the shit out of a ton of creatures and people. He don't give a fuck.
Yeah, that's how I knew that the first one was terrible.
But yeah, that Negro bots in that second train. That's what made me not go back to the theater for the third movies on. I just watched them when they came on cable. I'm like, I'm not spending money to watch this shit, and I didn't either. I was like, no, I'm good.
Yeah, it's good that. Yeah, as an animation fan, I could even say that will make me cringe to no end.
Yeah. Anyway, the best Transformer film that's come out in years was Bumblebee, and that's because they got someone who actually knows something about animation to direct it.
Yeah, I still have to see that movie.
Yeah. If you get a chance, you should go watch it because it actually, I think it's on Paramount Plus for free. If you get Paramount Plus, you can watch it. Paramount Plus, like, legitimately, like, you know how in the Michael Bay films the action was trash. Like when you saw the Transformers fighting each other, you could never see the actual action most of the time, and the cuts were just absolute ass. And when they transformed, it looked like shit. In Bumblebee, the transformation looks good.
Yeah, oh, okay. Yeah, because I hated the design to the Transformers. Like they almost look
like shit.
Yeah. I mean, there was too much, like, too much detail, too much stuff going on in their design.
Yeah, they were over
designed. How to
designed.
hold back. Yeah,
they were over designed. Yeah, because the Transformers, the whole point of the Transformers is they're supposed to look like a normal vehicle, and then it transforms. It's like, oh shit, there was a robot in there. The tagline, "Robots in disguise." It doesn't work if the fucking car looks like it's not really a car. It doesn't work, okay?
I mean, people are gonna think your semi truck's suspicious when you got all this weird shit all over it.
Like these weird lines that look kind of like arms. It's like, come on, man.
Yeah, that's weird.
And then, when Michael Bay fucked up the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, that was the final straw for me. I was like, you know what, man?
Oh, no.
You motherfucker, you.
When I heard that he was doing the TMMT,
I knew it was going to be bad because they said Michael Bay. I was like, fuck.
F this SML. F this SML. Don't mind me. I'm just going to go pack my things and leave. Excuse me, please. Oh, God. I'm sorry about that.
It's true. But I saw that movie, though. I went to the movie theaters and saw that movie. And let me tell you something. I have never. I mean, there's only 3 movies I went to a movie theater and saw and walked out mad. Of recent age, where I was like, I walked out and I was pissed the fuck off. The original, Star Trek Into Darkness. I walked out of Star Trek Into Darkness pissed off, like legitimately angry.
That movie was terrible. That movie was
the
bad.
fact that they would try, they're like, oh, we're gonna, like, people told Alex Kurtzman, do not do Wrath of Khan. They did Wrath of Khan. It's like, don't do Wrath of Khan. I'm gonna do it anyway. Okay. And it was, and the twist they did for Wrath of Khan was so stupid. It was like, man, come on. And the second film I walked out of angry was Man of Steel. Man of Steel pissed me the fuck off.
Neck's getting broken by Superman.
I mean, that was a part of it. Like, I mean, the shit that pissed me off about Man of Steel, really, to be honest with you, is just the fact that Zack Snyder couldn't come up with anything fucking original. Basically, Man of Steel is Superman 1 and 2, is Donner's and Linklater's Superman 1 and 2, smushed together and made dark. That's all it is. Except done worse. Like, General Zod is a joke. Ursa and Nan are just like Zod, Ursa, and Nan are just not really interesting in the Snyder films. How Pa Kent dies in Man of Steel is just fucking pathetic. Like, it was done better before. Like, how the fuck are you gonna do a remake of something that's already been done better and make it the shit worse? And that's what Man of Steel is. It's like half of Man of Steel is the original Superman done by Donner, but it was done better. Like how Jonathan Kent dies in the original Superman, the 78 Superman, where like he races his son and he has a heart attack. And like Superman's like Jonathan Kent's like not Clark is like, I have all this power. I can leap tall buildings at a single bound. I'm faster than, and yet my father's having a heart attack, and there ain't shit I can do about it. Like all this power, and I can't save the one of the people I love. That is really touching. How did Zack Snyder try to one up that? Oh, he had Jonathan Kent just die in a hurricane, in a tornado. Something he could have just grabbed. Like literally, Clark could have grabbed his father and put him in the storm shelter. I'm like, that's just fucking stupid. And these fucking Zack Snyder fans are like, oh no, you don't get it. I'm like, no, I get that. That's fucking stupid. That's dumb. That's dumb as shit. I'm sorry. That is dumb. That is fucking stupid. Okay? Yeah, but I mean, you know, like him, like just being a whiny little bitch for most of the film. When he finally gets his suit, the color palette is all fucking dark and gritty because Zack Snyder just likes dark and gritty shit. I'm pretty sure when Zack Snyder jacks off, he doesn't use lube. He just grabs a fistful of dirt.
That would be too generous.
I'm being facetious, but everything about him is gritty. Like nothing can ever be, you know, light or, you know, hopeful. And then at the end, they fucking destroy a city. Now, here's the thing. Superman in other incarnations, he will go out of his way to avoid damage to citizens, like people who are not involved. He fucking is fighting in the middle of a metropolis. The metropolis. Like, look, those people in those buildings, they're dead. They're fucking dead. Okay? And then at the end, he kills Zod. All these fucking people he murdered while fighting these Kryptonians. But he's sad that he had to kill Zod. Really? Really, motherfucker? Really? Get the fuck out of here with that shit. Oh, and at the end, he makes out with Lois Lane on the rubble. Like, people are dead. He's not trying to rescue survivors. He's making out with Lois. I mean, look, if there was ever a director who should have never been in charge of directing a Superman movie, it was Zack Snyder. Because he didn't understand the fucking character. But, yeah, I walked out of that mad. And I walked out of, what was the third movie? Batman v Superman. No. Yeah, Batman v Superman. Those movies, I walked out of those movies angry. Like, legitimately pissed off that I spent money to see those movies. And that the people that they got in charge of those movies made those movies. I was like... And I'm going to keep it real. I didn't even pay to see Batman v Superman. I watched something else, and then I stayed behind and snuck into Batman v Superman.
Probably the best thing of being a movie critic.
And before anyone... No, I didn't critique that. I critiqued something else that came around at the same time, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to throw a bone to the theater, and I got a one of those big-ass, almost gallons of soda. I was like, I'm going to throw a bone for like $12. I'm going to throw a bone to the movie theater. That's what I did. And then I went and saw Batman v Superman, the original cut. That movie was bad too. Like I'm tired.
That terrible? Yeesh.
That movie made me leave the theater angry. Like I was like, why would you people get the same? Like he already fucked up Superman. Why would you?
Why give this person more? Oh boy.
That's like a woman going with a man that she knows ain't no damn good, and she keeps on going back. It's like, why would you do that? He already gave you the clap once. Why would you go back? Why? He ain't no damn good. But that's enough of that. What game are you looking forward to next year?
That's a hard call because if anything, one of the first games I might look forward to is actually seeing how Kirby works in 3D. I know it's probably not huge, but I thought I'd at least work in seeing out of curiosity. Something off?
No, I was just looking at something. For me, I mean, I'm not really looking forward to Kirby. I'm curious on can they make it work, because the last time they tried to make a 3D Kirby game,
It was a 2.5.
and it wasn't like I stand by that. Kirby 64 is not a good game. It's not. It's not a good game. Like there was a period of time. Like the first 3 Kirby games, like Kirby, like the first Kirby on the Game Boy, Kirby's Adventure on the NES, and Kirby's the second Kirby game on the Game Boy. Those are all good. Kirby Superstar is good, but Kirby's Adventure, Kirby's Dreamland 2 and 3 on the SNES, those games suck. Yeah, I said it. They suck. And Kirby 64.
3, I'm iffy with.
Kirby 64 sucks. Okay? It sucks. It fucking sucks. Okay? Like I would say, like, there was a period of Kirby games on console where they just were not good. So as a matter of fact, most of the Kirby games except for the spin-offs, have not been good to me. Aside from Kirby Superstar. Kirby Superstar is good. Kirby Ultra Star is good. Kirby Nightmare in Dreamland is pretty good. Kirby, I forget what it's called, but it's the one where there's like a mirror universe that Kirby gets drawn into. That's pretty good. Kirby Squeak Squad
Kirby
sucks.
and the Amazing Mirror.
Yeah, Kirby and the minis, the one where there's like mini Kirbys and shit. That one sucks too. Yeah, Mass Attack. That one sucks.
I have to give you the middle finger for at least one of those two, because City Squad is not that bad.
It's not as bad as Mass Attack, but it's not good. It's not as good as Nightmare in Dreamland and the one where they had the mirror universe they went into.
If you want bad, go tilt and tumble me out of here.
Tilt and Tumble's bad too.
As I said, if you want bad, go tilt and tumble. I don't see Squeak Squad being anywhere near that bad.
It's just the problem with Squeak Squad was that they oversimplified the game and they got rid of certain abilities that were cool. But it's just it's like in the game at the end of the day is just kind of average versus being great. The Kirby games didn't start getting good again until they hit the 3DS, where you got like The DS and the three, like the when they did the re-release of Superstar, which is Superstar Ultra, um, and then on the 3DS, those two games on the 3DS that were great. Kirby Return to Dreamland was pretty good. Um, that was pretty good. I mean, like the Kirby games haven't been consistently good. Like it's sometimes they're great and sometimes they're just basic. None of them are like absolutely terrible, except for maybe Mass Attack. That one was trash.
Mm.
Um,
I was, I would say I can sort of agree with you, though. If anything, the mini games at least saved it from being total trash.
Kirby's Epic Yarn is a fun girlfriend game, or if you want to play like a video game with your kids, it's good for
Yeah.
that. It's a fine game to play along with your like. If Nintendo were smart, they would do a Kirby's Epic Yarn 2 and have it released on for February 14th and have it like for couples for Valentine's Day because that's a good. Hey, if your girlfriend's not into video games but you want her to be in the video games and you want to play a game alongside her and not have it be competitive, because you have a girlfriend like mine where she gets overly competitive in video games, which is why I don't play with her certain games. Um, then Kirby's Epic Yarn is perfect to play alongside your girlfriend or your kids, and you don't want them to be like, "Oh, I gotta get everything."
I was gonna say, there are some Kirby mini games that are in the main games that probably could satisfy that itch, but I'm not sure which ones.
Now, I mean a game that you can play alongside someone where there's like the whole game you're just playing alongside someone. Kirby's Epic Yarn is perfect for that because you don't really die in the game. It's all has cute aesthetics. The difficulty curve is relatively low unless you're trying to 100% it. It's just not really
Okay,
like.
so aren't most Kirby games that are on the consoles able to host multiple players?
I mean, they are, but I mean, I'm talking like where it's not going to be ultra competitive and you can play alongside someone and it's not going to be like, oh shit.
That's how I
Um,
was feeling.
but anyway, what game are you looking for coming out next year, Kenoshi?
Um, Star Star Ocean.
What, that new Star Ocean that they ripped off wholesale from
Oh,
Xenoblade?
not that game. I forgot what it was called already. The game that's supposed to be based off the Messenger.
Sun and Moon.
Yeah, where you play as anthropomorphic uh, deities of the sun and the moon. Literally looking forward to that game. Um, really looking to hearing more about Breath of the Wild 2. I think that game is going to come out in 2023. See what else. There's a lot of stuff coming out next year. Elden Ring has an interesting aesthetic, and now it's another From Software game with a Souls-like gameplay, but the aesthetic looks interesting. Might check it out. What else is coming out? There's a lot of stuff coming out next year because a lot of it got pushed back because of COVID. So a lot of
Yeah,
stuff that's supposed to come out this year is going to come out next year, hopefully.
I agree. The game I'm looking forward to next year. It's called Steam and Cinder. Gestalt of Steam and Cinder. It's a game they showed off like last year, and it's like a 16-bit game, gorgeous 16-bit game.
I saw a trailer for that game last year. That game is beautiful looking.
Yeah, and that game looks fucking awesome, and I'm looking forward to that game. I hope it comes out next year. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm not really I know some people, oh, Breath of the Wild 2. I'm like, look, after getting burned on Breath of the Wild 1, like they're gonna have to show off some shit that they're adding to Breath of the Wild 2 before I give a fuck about it. Like, are there gonna be real dungeons this time? Are we gonna have tools? Are we still gonna have weapons breaking in the middle of a fight? If that shit's going on, can I dive underwater and stay underwater for prolonged periods of time? Like, if you're not going to be adding the usual tropes that have existed in prior Legend of Zelda games to this one, not interested. So I'm not looking forward to that game next year. If it comes out next year, it might not. So I don't think we'll get to free topic, but we have one final topic, dropping free topic. What is your unpopular opinion of the year?
Probably the hard one for me in a sense. As far as I could figure out, I say Twitter. Twitter is better, but in comparison to Facebook, I consider Twitter like a forum group that has virtually no that has virtually no authority figures. Facebook, the criminals are the in administration.
I can see where you're going from with that, but I think Twitter's slightly better than Facebook, because Twitter you can actually get banned. If you say stupid shit. Facebook, there's no filter.
That's what I was saying. I consider Twitter a forum group that has very few administrators, where I see Facebook as the inmates are the administrators.
Yeah.
You get that, right?
So, yeah, I get what you're saying. I'm just saying that's my but at least there's certain things you just can't do. Like you'll get called out on at Twitter, whereas you don't get that on Facebook. Like there's messed up stuff that happens on Facebook, and no one will say anything about it. But that's my own personal opinion. Kanoshi, you have an unpopular opinion for the year?
Yeah, Elf is a terrible movie.
Elf?
I don't know why. Elf is a terrible movie. I don't know why it's as popular as it is.
I agree. I think most of Will Ferrell's movies are trash, believe it or not. I think Will Ferrell is overrated as an actor.
Yeah.
I think the best film he ever did was the movie where it wasn't a comedy. Well, there's like two movies that he did that weren't a comedy, where he's just some guy who finds out that he is a character in some lady's novel, and he finds out she's gonna kill him, and he's like, "Please don't kill me." He's like begging for his life, and I'm like, that's actually pretty good. And then he did a movie where he was he did a movie where he played like an alcoholic whose wife kicked him out, and she's like, "Yeah, I can't be around your ass anymore because you're just a terrible human being." And it turns out the guy who was his AA sponsor was fucking around with his wife.
Yeah.
And it's like Will Ferrell actually showed some some depth to his character, which just I was like, wow, Will Ferrell can actually act. Like Will Ferrell legitimately can be a good actor. It's just he doesn't really. Most of the time, he just plays a stupid guy, but when he tries, he can be a good actor.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. Elf is, the only comedy movie that I saw from Will Ferrell, I'm like, this is legitimately funny, is Anchorman.
I heard good things about the first one. I heard the second one was trash, though.
I mean, it's not really. It just wasn't as good as the first one. It wasn't trash. It just this is clearly not as good as the first Anchorman.
Yeah.
Like this, because it's too much like the first Anchorman. It's like, oh, it's Anchorman again. Um, yeah. But anyway, yeah. My unpopular opinion of the year is, I am tired of people saying that. I'm tired of hearing, oh, well, 2021 was a bad year, but 2022 is going to be great for gaming. We don't know that. Okay,
Man,
because
stuff could get pushed back again.
they said this. They said the same shit about 2020, 2021. Remember 2020 came and everyone's like, oh, it's going to be great for gaming 2021. It wasn't.
No.
Okay, so why don't we just hope that, these companies learn their fucking lesson and stop putting out shit and expecting people to buy it. That's it. That's my unpopular opinion.
Also, also one more unpopular opinion, or popular opinion if you want to say it. I see NFTs going the way of VR.
I would be okay if that happened.
You can hear where that joke is going, right?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, people hate NFTs. Like when they announced NFTs, people were like, I hate this. And these companies are like, no, we're going full steam. It's like, man, people don't like NFTs. Why are you, I mean, to get a little raw, it's like you're with your girlfriend and she's like, look, man, I'm not into butt stuff. And you're like, no, I guarantee if you try it, you'll like it. No, she told you she's not into it. Why do you keep on trying when she said she's not into it? She said, I'm not interested. Stop trying.
And that's the reason why I made the joke that NFTs are going to go the way of VR. And by that, I mean they're going to go down a cliff.
Gamers aren't into NFTs. Gamers aren't into it. Stop trying to push this shit. Stop it. It's annoying. I know some CEO, some marketing executive was like, yeah, man, NFTs are the it thing. And then they put it through immediately without thinking, hey, maybe people won't like this shit and we just wasted millions of dollars trying to get this shit off the ground. And so you got to put something out there. But gamers don't, the people who you want to buy your product fucking hate it already. It's like New Coke from the 80s, or was it the 90s? I forget when it was.
The only good drink that actually works cold, that is diet, is barely Coke.
No, Coke Zero, if it's cold enough, does taste very similar to Coke. But that's neither here nor there. Stop trying to push it. People are tired of it. Anyway, that's the end of the cast. Anything you guys want to pimp out before we wrap things up?
I think we could advertise what's coming up next year, or rather the first day of the first year.
Well, we aren't having a cast on the 1st. We won't have another cast until Wednesday of next week on the 5th.
Hopefully you guys are not popping so much champagne that's like that, but otherwise, yeah, I could go with that.
All right.
Oh yeah. Project Console next week, 7:30. Where we will be talking about the top gaming stories of 2021. So be on the lookout for that.
All right.
Well, if anything, thank you for coming to the BS Busters Midweek Podcast, the last podcast of the year. You could join us by Discord, by Twitter, or by email directly.
That is correct. And also, we will be our first podcast of 2021. We will be looking back on 2022. We'll be looking back on 2021 and looking back at who shall be crowned as our a-hole of the year, worst game of 2021. What is the worst game of 2021? And conversely, what was the best game of 2021? Who was the worst developer? Who was the best developer of 2021? It's going to be a retrospective of 2021. So look forward to that next week, Wednesday, same bat time, same bat place. BS Busters, thank you for joining us. Thank you for staying with us for a year. let's stay together and all on into the next year. Peace, good night, and